Hi everyone, I will talk about personal boundaries today. Are there any specific situations where you are struggling to set boundaries? It's one of those things super important, but weirdly hard to do, especially if you're the kind of person who doesn't want to disappoint anyone. I get it, but here is the deal. If you don't set boundaries, some people are going to take advantage of you. It's not about keeping people out, it's about showing them how to respect your space, your time, and your energy. Because, spoiler alert, you deserve that respect. Before we dive into details and I tell you about my personal experience in this topic and provide you with some methods to make it easier to set boundaries, if you're new here, take a second to click on the subscribe button below and subscribe to my channel so that you do not miss out on my future videos. I've been thinking about how I used to be. I was so accommodating before. I would go out of my way to help people if someone needed something, especially the people I was close with. I would do whatever I could for them. If I wasn't able to do that, then I would make sure that I explain thoroughly the reason why I wouldn't be able to do what they were expecting me to do at that time. I would return people's calls and texts as soon as I got a free moment. If a close friend broke up with her boyfriend, for example, she would call me whenever she needed and talked for hours. I was okay with it because I was helping them. And even if I was busy, I would just, create some time to spare for her or for other people who needed my help. I was being very accommodating and help in any way I could. And honestly, I thought that's just who I was. And people told me that too, that I was helpful, empathetic, thoughtful, and a person that people could rely on. But somewhere along the way, I realized not everyone appreciated it. Some people will take advantage of it, my time, my energy, my kindness. They would just assume I would always be there, no matter how much it cost me. And when I would finally feel drained and say no, they usually wouldn't like it. However, I realized some of these people were not caring or supportive when I needed support for any reason when I was not feeling great. And that's really not a good feeling at all. It took me a while to figure this out. But being kind doesn't mean letting some people push your boundaries. I had to learn to set more solid boundaries not because I've stopped caring, but because I do care both about others and myself. Now, I still help people, but I'm more mindful about who I'm giving my time to. It's not selfish, it's necessary. I've realized that saying no when I need to isn't a betrayal of who I am. It's just me protecting my peace. I'm still me, but I've learned the hard way that being kind to others doesn't mean being unkind to yourself. On the other hand, if a person is heartless, mean, and selfish, that's terrible. I definitely do not like people like that. How it should be is maintain the balance, being kind to others while you're being kind to yourself as well. So you need boundaries to protect your peace. You ever hang out with someone and leave feeling drained? That's what happens when there are no boundaries. Setting limits is self-care. You need boundaries to avoid resentment. If you keep saying yes when you want to say no, you're going to start feeling resentment towards the person you say yes to. So, boundaries equal to no resentment build up. And you need boundaries to have better relationships. Weirdly enough, when you set boundaries, people actually respect you more. Healthy boundaries mean healthier connections. Why it is hard to set boundaries? If you're a people pleaser, what does a people pleaser mean, first of all? A people pleaser is someone who tries really hard to make everyone around them happy, often putting their own needs, feelings, and priorities on the back burner. It's like their default setting is to say yes to everything, even when it's inconvenient or unfair to them, because they don't want to disappoint anyone or cause conflict. So if you're a people pleaser, saying no feels like you're letting someone down and you hate that feeling. I wasn't a people pleaser. I still had boundaries and I said no to people many times when I needed to, but I was definitely more caring than an average person. And I was, especially to the people who were close to me, I was more giving. When I noticed that some people were not appreciative of that and they were not doing the same thing to me, then I decided that I was going to set more boundaries. Another reason would be why it is hard to set boundaries is if you feel bad. I think that's the category that I was in. I would feel bad if I was setting boundaries and saying no to the people who are close to me when they need me. It's like you're feeling you're being selfish if you set boundaries. Newsflash though, self-care isn't selfish. Also, maybe it's hard for you to set boundaries because you don't know how. Nobody told you about this stuff. Boundaries should have been a class in high school, right? Okay, now let's talk about how to set boundaries in a kind way. Figure out what you need. First thing is first, where are you feeling drained? Is it a friend who always wants to vent? Or is the coworker who dumps their tasks on you? Get clear on where you need boundaries. Start small. Get comfortable saying no, even when it feels weird. Okay, I know no can feel like a dirty word, especially if you're used to being the go-to person for everything. You don't need to flip your life upside down overnight though. But here's a trick, start with little stuff. Try setting boundary in one low stakes situation, like saying I can't talk right now, but let's catch up later. I can't talk right now, but let's catch up later. Or if someone asks you for a favor you don't actually have time for, try saying, I would love to help, but I can't right now. Pro tip, you don't have to over-explain. Depending on your relationship with the person or how sensitive the topic is, you can adjust your level of explaining, but do not go overboard. Do not over-explain why you cannot do what they expect you to do. If you want to keep it chill, just add thanks for understanding in the end. Boom, boundaries, but make it friendly. Another example could be, hey, I can't make it tonight. I need some time to recharge. Talk to you later. So be direct but kind. Again, you don't have to write a whole speech. Just keep it simple. You set boundaries in advance. You know how some situations are predictable? Like if there's always that one friend who calls at midnight to rant about their life. Try saying, hey, I'm usually asleep by 10, so if you ever need to chat, can we stick to earlier hours? It's way easier to set expectations up front than in the middle of a stressful moment. Practice in front of mirror. No joke. So I know this might sound like a little goofy, but if you struggle with saying things like, I need a little space right now, or I can't help with that at this moment, then try practicing in private first. Literally, look at yourself in the mirror and say it out loud. It helps you get used to how it feels, so when the time comes, you won't freeze up. Also, side note, when you say it, keep your voice steady. Do not go too apologetic or leave room for people to wiggle past your boundary. So I've noticed if I soften my words way too much, then some people take that as a permission to push. Know your non-negotiables. This one is big. So think about what absolutely drains you. Like, is it people disrespecting your time, overstepping your personal space, constantly asking for things without giving back? So once you know your non-negotiables, it's easier to stand firm because you're like, I'm not budging on this for my own sanity. Use humor when it fits. So sometimes you can soften the vibe with a little humor. Let's say someone is asking for more than you are comfortable with. You could go, "Oh wow, you're asking me to be a superhero. I don't have my cape today though." It's playful, but it still gets the point across that you can't do it. So this is different than just implications, implying something and not being clear and confusing the other person. You're still making it clear that you're not comfortable doing it. Do you know what else I've noticed that it's helpful? Having a go-to boundary phrase. You don't always need a unique response for every situation. Come up with a one-liner that you can use whenever you are caught off guard. So something like, "I'll have to think about that and get back to you. Despise you, time." Or, "I'm at capacity right now, but I hope it works out for you." Let's think of another one. "I would love to help, but I've got too much on my plate right now." And or let's say you are on the phone with a friend who still wants to keep talking after a while, and you feel like it's been a long conversation already. So you could say, "I would love to talk to you longer, but with what is left in my bandwidth, I won't be able to follow it right now. Let's talk more later." So having a go-to line makes it so much easier when your brain is like, "Panic, what do I say?" Here's the thing, people might not like your boundaries at first, especially if they are used to you saying yes all the time. But that's on them, not you. So as long as you are kind and not mean, you are okay. You're being honest about what you can handle. And honestly, the people who really care about you will understand this. Rewarding yourself for setting a boundary is a good idea too. Well, okay, I mean, this might sound a little silly, but it works. So every time you set a boundary, celebrate it. Even if it's something small, like saying no to a plan you didn't want to go to, treat yourself to something you love. A good snack, a cozy movie night, whatever. So positive reinforcement. Here's the hard part. Once you set the boundary, you've got to stick with it. So if someone keeps pushing, repeat yourself calmly. "Like I said, I can't." And I will give you a bonus tip here. After you say that, "Like I said, I can't," silence works wonders. Remember, boundaries aren't walls. This is important. Boundaries don't mean you are shutting people out. They are just a way of saying, here is how we can have a healthy relationship where neither of us feels drained. Think of it like a guidebook to you. I will give you a very simple but very useful tip right now. Use I statements. Instead of saying, "You're so demanding," "You are so demanding," just try saying, "I need some downtime after work. I need." So, it's less about accusing them and more about expressing your needs. This is small and very easy to do, but makes a huge difference. When it feels hard, remember, you are not responsible for how other people feel about your boundaries. But again, I'm talking about healthy boundaries here, not being extremely selfish, etc. I'm talking about kind, normal boundaries. So, despite that, despite your boundaries are being normal, kind, healthy boundaries, if they still get mad, that's their issue to work through, not yours. Boundaries aren't walls, they are bridges. They let people know how to connect with you in a way that works for both of you. Honestly, setting boundaries is kind of like building a muscle. At first, it feels awkward and maybe even a little uncomfortable, but the more you do it, the stronger and more confident you get. Setting boundaries is a skill, and like any skill, it gets easier the more you practice. If you mess up and cave sometimes, that's okay. Start small, be consistent, and don't forget your peace is priceless. And the best part, When you protect your energy, you actually show up better for the people and the things that matter most. That's it for today. Thank you for tuning in. If you found this helpful, share it with a friend or a family member who might need to hear it. Remember to give the video a thumbs up to like it and share your thoughts and experiences in this topic below in the comments section. And until next time, take care of yourself and your boundaries.